Rehman is a distinguished pioneer in the field of AI, governance, risk, compliance, and culture, which is known as GRC&C. He's renowned for his innovative approach in integrating Islamic principles into AI ethics. And as an accredited author on technology governance and a seasoned expert on management and technology audit, he brings unparalleled wealth of experience to the critical intersection of AI and divine ethics. What his team and Society 5 initiative is showcasing some brand new research on virtue-based AI ethics and comprehensive implementational framework for ethical, robust AI society of the future. This seminal work integrates Islamic values with contemporary AI governance principles, providing a nuanced and multidimensional approach to optimizing AI's benefits while mitigating its risk. The framework is specifically designed to inform and guide policymakers in formulating legislation, policies, and regulatory instruments that align with international law, ensure consistency with ethical principles, and minimize the influence of prevailing socio-political and economic factors.
The work that we are presenting here is done by a think and do tank, which is called the Society 5.0. See, Society 5.0 is a concept from the government of Japan to solve their social problems. They've got a lot of technology, but they've got a lot of social problems. So they want to use technology for the benefit of the society. And this is what we picked up. And we said that why not use Islam for the benefit of the society and bring the perspective of Islam into Society 5.0. So that's what we are doing. The people that we are working, you see, we have got a very good collection of people. We've got at least 4 PhDs in different fields. I am not a Islamic scholar. I am a person who does projects on transformation and governance. So I am the person who brings them all together. Then we've got some PhDs, some people who are doing their PhDs from different fields. So we've got a very good collection of people in our team. Now, what we present here is original and pioneering work by this group of young and enthusiastic scholars. We have not borrowed anything from anywhere. It is all original work based on a lot of research by these people. And we're still working. We are hardly 20% through. Okay, we started with a vision. The vision was to create an ethically sound AI ecosystem. So now this is a new term which was not used probably yesterday and today. We are working on an ethically sound AI ecosystem. And that is very important because the whole society is being affected by AI. So unless we have an ethically sound ecosystem that uses AI or that controls the use of AI, we'll have problems. So the purpose of this ecosystem will be to benefit humanity. And this ecosystem has to be based on Quranic and Sunnah values, and it has to ensure justice, equity, and human dignity. So this is the vision that we have and that we're trying to achieve in our work. This vision leads to a mission. We defined the mission. The first part of the mission, the first aspect of the mission is to foster international cooperation. And Dr. Safi talked about this, I think, this morning, that we will do this work and then we'll take this to other countries, especially UAE, where a lot of work is being done on AI ethics as well. So we'll make this framework and take it to other Muslim countries, especially to adopt. We want to establish a universally acceptable set of ethical guidelines. Ethical guidelines for what? For the entire life cycle of what? Of AI technologies, products, and services. So not only the technologies, not only the products, not only the services, but all of them. And they have a life cycle. So ethics have to be implemented on the entire life cycle of the conception, the development, the use, the discarding of technologies, products, and services related to AI. Now, once they have been developed, we want to promote the practical implementation of these guidelines through clear, actionable policies, procedures, rules, and use cases. So we will bring out a lot of documents, a lot of processes, a lot of help manuals that will help people conceive, design, develop, use, and improve AI technologies, products, and services. Now, to do this, we will encourage the inclusion of diverse perspectives from the Islamic world and from the non-Islamic world. So we want to bring all of them together and create this framework. So this is our mission. Now, this mission leads to certain objectives. Our first objective is to formulate a comprehensive framework. A framework for what? A framework that defines the different perspectives of ethics, a framework that can be used to assess the maturity of ethics in a certain AI technology or AI system or AI-related organization or AI-related person. So that's the first objective. The second objective is to ensure that ethical considerations are integrated into all stages of AI technology, products, and services lifecycle. So we want to create a culture of ethical AI. So that culture has to be implemented at the individual level, at the group level, the social level, the national level, and the international level. The purpose of all this is to protect and promote human rights. And what we see today is that AI is being used to harm human rights. So the objective is to protect and promote human rights. The fourth objective is to safeguard the interests of current and future generations, which is endangered by the use of AI. The fifth objective is to foster inclusive, multi-stakeholder, multidisciplinary, and pluralistic dialogue. And this is what Dr. Safi talked about, that we want to start from Pakistan and expand to the Muslim countries first and then internationally to have a dialogue to build consensus on ethical issues. This has already started with the UN resolution and so on. We'll talk about it a little later. And the last objective is to develop methods to rigorously evaluate organizational adherence to ethical AI principles. How do we know that a certain organization is using AI ethically? So our framework will have criteria and processes to evaluate the organizational, the maturity of an organization in its use of AI. So this is what we want to achieve. Now, for this, we have a roadmap. The first step in the roadmap is that we have to identify the elements of AI ethics. There have to be some few elements, very basic elements of AI ethics. We have to identify those. Once we've done those, then we have to define very briefly in one or two sentences what do we mean with each, what does each element of AI ethics means. Once you've done that, then we have to explain in some detail each element of AI ethics so that there is no controversy. Once you've done that, then we will realize that the 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 elements of AI ethics are not enough. They are very high level. We cannot assess an organization or a product or a technology based on those high level elements of AI ethics. We have to drill down, we have to break them up into a hierarchy. So then we have to define the hierarchy. Once you've defined the hierarchy, we have to define the criteria to assess the AI ethics. So that criteria has to be based on Islamic values as well as other values. Once you've designed that, then how do we use these ethics, these criteria? To use these criteria, we have to have a methodology and a set of processes to actually use this criteria to assess the AI ethics. So this is a 6-step framework that we are following. Now, the first step in the methodology was to define the elements of AI ethics. So we came up with these 10 elements of AI ethics. We showed them to Dr. Safi when he was with us a couple of months ago. Now, how did we arrive at these? We had 4 basic sources to create these. The first one was the UN resolution, which on AI, which came out in March. Just after that, there was a European Union Act on AI, which came out, I think, in late March or early April. That was the second input. The third input was the different laws that different countries are making, and each US state is making its own laws on UI ethics. And the fourth input, which is very important, is the ISO standards. In the last 5 or 6 months, ISO has been coming up with a lot of standards on AI. So these are the four inputs. Now, based on these four inputs, we created these 10 standards. We didn't include the Islamic aspect because we said that let's continue with these, and as we go along, we'll see, is there anything additional that Islam brings, or is there anything additional that these four inputs bring which Islam does not? So at that stage, we'll come back and revise these 10 elements of AI ethics. I'll go through them one by one. The first one is respect for autonomy. Autonomy means that if I don't want to be influenced or to be a subject of AI, I should have the decision. I should have the decision to say how much should AI be applied on me. I should have the last say. The ultimate decision in an AI system should be taken not by AI, but by a human being. So this is respect for autonomy. The second one is do no harm. An AI system should not be designed to do harm. It's not only that, it should be developed with the primary goal of avoiding harm. That's the second element. The third element is doing good. And the AI system should not only not do bad, but it should be designed to do good. So not being negative is not enough. It has to be positive. The fourth element is it should do justice. It should be based on unbiased algorithms and unbiased data. That's a very big problem in AI. The fifth element is privacy. My privacy should be preserved. My data should not be given to somebody who I don't want to be given to. And my data, only that, those elements of data should be available to AI that are required for that system. Transparency. What is being done with my data? How is the system working? What are its algorithms? Which data is it based on? That should all be transparent. Accountability. The people who are developing the systems should be accountable to somebody. Why have they done it? With whose permission have they done it? How are they using it? How are they not using it? That should be very clear. Safety. The system should ensure safety in the use. There should be safety mechanism to prevent accidents or misuse or malicious activities. The ninth is inclusivity. And this is very important because we already see a digital divide between nations and within nations between the different sections of the populace. So everybody should have equal opportunity to benefit from AI. And the last one is, this is all very good, but things can deteriorate over time. So there should be continual monitoring and improvement of AI systems to ensure that they keep following these 10 elements. So these are the 10 elements. Now, we cannot assess an organization based on these 10 elements. So we have to have a drill down or a detail of this of ethics. So therefore, we came up with a hierarchy of AI ethics. And at the top, what I just told you are the elements of AI ethics, the 10 elements. They break down into factors of the elements of AI ethics. If you see the line, you can see this is a one-to-many relationship. Each element of AI ethics will have many factors of AI ethics. And then that is broken down further. Again, you see a one-to-many relationship. Each factor of AI ethics will have different activities of AI ethics. So at present, we've got 10 elements of AI ethics. each of these 10 elements breaks down into around 15 factors. So we've got about 150 factors, which we've already discovered. Now we are working on the factors to create the activities. And we see that each factor has 15 to 20 activities. So we are coming down to about 3,000 activities of AI ethics. So when we are assessing an organization on its maturity for AI, we will be judging that organization on those 3,000 activities. So those 3,000 activities will be judged on criteria which will be drawn from the Quran and the Sunnah and elsewhere. We'll come to it. Okay, so as I said, we will have a criteria for AI ethics, and that criteria will be applied on each of the 3,000 activities of AI ethics. And this criteria, as I said, will be drawn from the Quran and the Sunnah and elsewhere, and it will have three major aspects. Those will be at the individual level. How do we assess an individual for AI ethics? How do we assess a society for AI ethics? And how do we assess the whole ecosystem for AI ethics? Now, this is not enough. We have the criteria, but how do we use the criteria? So for that, we'll have an assessment process. So we use the criteria for AI ethics using the assessment processes on the activities. So we've got 3,000 activities. Then there will be hundreds of criteria for each activity. So it's a really big framework and a big system to work on. So this is what it comes to. All of this concept is based on ISO 33001, which defines all of this process. And what we'll be designing is based on this ISO standard. So on the x-axis, we've got the assessment criteria, which we discussed just now. On the y-axis, we've got the 3,000 activities. So each activity will be assessed on the assessment criteria, and this using the assessment process. Okay, so what have we done so far? We've done step 1, step 2, step 3. So we are on step 4. We are defining the hierarchy of AI ethics. We've defined the elements. We've defined the factors. Now we're defining the activities. We've defined about 300 activities so far. We have to reach about 10,000, about 3,000. But we've started step 5 simultaneously. Whatever activities we have already defined, they are being worked on by our scholars to define the criteria for each activity based on the Quran and the Sunnah and other sources. So this is where we are now. Okay, so what's the benefit of this? We will develop a software tool which will be based on this methodology, and that software tool will be can be used by any organization or any country to assess at the individual, social, ecosystem, or national level. Let me give you an example. How does it look like? Okay, as I said, let's take the first element. The first element was respect for autonomy. That respect for autonomy can be broken down into these 14 factors. So these 14 factors define respect for autonomy. Let's look at one of them. Consent management systems. They must take my consent to use AI on me. They must have my consent on the extent of the use of AI on my data. So this is just one factor of respect for autonomy. That one factor has to decomposes into these 15 activities. So we look at all of these 15 activities just to see if that organization or system is how mature that organization or system is from the perspective of consent, of taking consent. So ultimately, we'll have about 3,000 of such activities.